I think I'm live. I'm gonna tweet this out. Yeah, hi Sean. Yeah, you're the first one in. Just tweeting out that I started the stream, and I think people know. Yeah, okay. Happy to have you there. So. Yeah, I'm just setting up. I have to prepare. I haven't put the paints on the table yet, and I have to get that and get ready. Yeah, my weekend was fine. I just did a video today on some fruits and vegetables. And we had a very good stream on Friday night for the European Hangout. We went on for 4.5 hours for a live stream. That was quite good stream. So I have 3 models printed out. This one here in clear, this one in Fillamentum, and this one also in Fillamentum. This model is it's a landscape that I did with my drone. So I created a 3D model with drone imagery. So it's a very small area, and I'm gonna try to paint that. You can even see some buildings and even some cars in the model. Those dots are cars. So it's quite detailed, but over a very small area. So like I said, I'm just setting up. I haven't prepared for this. So the first painting I'm going to do is from an area in the west part of Iceland. And I'm going to show you on my screen a map. So this is Iceland, and this is called Vestfirðir or Westfjords, and here's the area I'm going to paint. So this area is those fjords here, and this area. It's a really beautiful area, but don't many people live there. There's only a few people that live there actually. Yeah, you have a 3-day weekend. Yeah, okay, Labor Day. So I'm gonna start with this one. Set up the camera, the close-up camera. Hope you don't get seasick. So if you watch my videos, I start with covering the entire surface with white and black to get like a base coat, and then I start to use some colors. And I'm using acrylic paints. Those are Panduro acrylic paints I'm using. So I'm just gonna start this part of Iceland. This is called Strandir. That's the name of this place. In the northwest part of Iceland. Here's a fjord called Veiðileysufjörður and Trékyllisvík. There are some crazy names. Or Norðurfjörður. That's the name of this area here. So this print was actually, it didn't finish. There's a little bit more of the landscape that should have printed, but I can't remember what happened, if the filament was out or what happened, but there was a little bit more on this landscape. But I normally paint the landscapes nevertheless, even though they didn't finish fully. And I actually printed out another one with the full landscape. It was going like maybe to this area, so it was not much bigger, but I painted that one on a live stream the other day, and I sent that landscape out to Joe, the maker noob. Yeah, hi Ben, nice to see you. I was just starting painting this landscape from the northwest part of Iceland, called Strandir. You fancy. Yeah, it's good fun. I have traveled several times in this area, and it's has very low population, only like 35 people that live in this area. But in the summertime it's quite popular to go there and just camp and hang out. And most of the people that live here are either fishermen or farmers. Mostly sheep farmers. Just adjusting the overhead. I'm using the same camera as I use for close-ups for the overhead camera, and I think I have to fix the focus. It's jumping around, so let me just fix that. I have the Logitech C922 camera, and its autofocus is always jumping around, and don't really like that camera. Yeah, I haven't used Twitch. Do you think there's more audience on Twitch? Yeah, thanks Sean for jumping in. That's appreciated. Yeah, do you think Twitch has a bigger audience? I haven't really thought about Twitch. Always thought Twitch were more for just gamers. And my son is streaming on Twitch sometimes his games. Yeah, okay, so it's all kind of stuff. Maybe I should check it out, see how it goes. Get some of that internet fame. Yeah, okay. When you do, let me know where to find you on Twitch. I'll check it out. I know, like Dustin Jetman, he's doing his live streams on Twitch. After he went from the Captain Balls talk show over to Twitch, I really didn't follow him over there. So I don't know what he's doing there at the moment. But I think he cancelled the talk show, Captain Balls. I'm just gonna get a glass of water. Now I'll put in the greens and put some white on it also to lighten it up. I'm gonna put some browns on the mountain parts. This area doesn't have very much like lowland areas. It's mostly just the shoreline with small areas of greens and then just mountains. So I have 6 people watching now. What are you all doing? Besides watching me, are you printing something or just relaxing on a Sunday? Okay. I'm printing the what's it called? Toothless characters and 1 banana. 1 banana for scale. My son wanted a toothless model, so I'm printing one for him. Yeah, hi Mike. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. Yeah, hi Kostner. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm gonna paint 2 or 3 models in this stream. Gonna see how it lasts. But hopefully I'll spend a good amount of time doing those. Sometimes if I'm just finishing one in half an hour, it's a very short stream and people are really just starting to join in when I end the stream. Like last time it was. So now I have 3 models to paint. Yeah, thank you, Mike. It is also for me. It's quite relaxing for me to just sit down and paint those models, and why not do it on a live stream? It's good chatting, and I've normally done just time lapse of the print process, and that's fun to watch also. But I like the interactions, so doing it on a live stream, I think, is a good format. And I'm always just experimenting. I'm in no shape or form any any color theory. I don't have any color theory, so I'm just trying out stuff. And, like now, I have a little bit too much red in the brown, so I'm trying to get rid of the red a little bit. But I think for those landscapes because I'm always trying to have it somewhat organic. So I really like to blend the colors a lot and just see how they play together. Yeah, hi Don, welcome. Nice to see you here. yeah, it's all on the fly, and I really blend the colors just on the model. I don't blend them too much. Like on the palette, there's somewhat just when I dip the sponge in, I sometimes put it here just to get it even on the sponge, but I really don't blend a specific color and apply it. I just have the base primary colors and just blend it on the canvas and let it flow on the model, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't work, I just do it again and blend some more colors. And there is no one teaching me this method. It's just just how I do it. But it's good fun, and I'm always learning some. Sometimes I watch some YouTube videos with people painting, and I think my style is just as normal as anyone else's style. But even though I don't have any formal training, it's the end result, and people seem to be happy with my end results, and I guess that's the goal. To have fun and people like those models, and I'm starting to stock up on models that I'm gonna bring to Murph, because I'm going to Murph next year, and the plan is to bring along some models and give away, and I'm starting to queue up models for that. And I recently sent out a model to Joe, the 3D Maker Noob in Malta, and it will probably be arriving this week to his mailbox, so hopefully soon he will have it on an unboxing video. It's always good fun to see my models on other people's channels, and like Glenn and Sander, they have 2 paintings that I did for them, and they are on the shelf in the background, and Chris on Chris' basement, he has my painting in the background as well, and people have shown off the paintings when they get them from me, so it's good fun. So now I'm gonna paint in the sea. Like all this part of the model is just the ocean, and there's some narrow fjords going in here also. So I'm gonna use a pencil, a normal paintbrush for that. Yeah, there's a little bit of snow. Maybe I should add some more. I'm gonna have this dry a little bit. Yeah, I'm looking forward to go to Murph. I went to Earth this year and it was awesome. Sure, Murph is gonna be awesome as well. And now painting the shoreline. Last time I was using maybe too dark blue right up in the shoreline. Now I'm creating a light blue area around the shoreline and have it maybe darker and going deeper. Yeah, Don, it's amazing to go to the States and meet all the people, because I was having a good amount of people knowing me throughout the YouTube streamers in the Friday Hangouts and on the YouTube community, so to speak. But going to Earth and then having some people, just somebody that you had no idea about, walking up to you and say, "Hey, I've seen you on YouTube," and that was awesome to meet like some of the audience. That was really cool. Even though I don't have a large channel, several people had seen my videos and was my subscribers, so that was really cool. And then meeting up all the people I've met in the Friday Hangouts, that was the most awesome part. Meeting like Matt and Walter and Chris Riley and James and Print Play and all the other guys. It was really cool. And now I'm having the green and the landscape colors a little bit too wet for the pencil to go in, so I have to wait a little bit before I go in for the details and the shoreline. Those acrylic paints are normally really quick to dry out, so it's not a long wait. Here's a small crack in the model. I somehow managed to break the model a little bit. I'll just fill it with paint. And here in this area is a small town, so to speak, a few people, a town with few people, and the harbor, and there's a swimming pool and a retail store and the gas station. Here in this part is a camping site, and it's really a beautiful area to go camping in. And now when I'm following the coastline, it's a little bit difficult because I have a seabed information also. So where a flat area of the land goes into the ocean, it's maybe a little bit difficult to see on the model where exact the coastline is. But I have that general idea though. I'm trying to do a good job on the painting, and sometimes I just goes quiet because I'm concentrating. So just let me know if you want me to tell some stories or something. We had a really good turnout last Friday on the European Community Hangout, or Friday Hangout. We had over 40 people or 45 people watching at some point, so that was really awesome. I have to look at a map to see exactly how the waterline is. Yeah. And if you want to see a map of Iceland that I create, you can have a look at. Yeah, thanks, you don't. I'll have a look. On this website is a web map. Those maps are maps that I create. Was it a private message done? Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of people. It was quite, I think we were 8 or 9 people. I don't see that message. On Twitter. Don't. What's your Twitter name? I just saw your message on the YouTube video I did today. Yeah, I saw that message now. Yeah, he he talked a bit. Let's. Yeah, hi. Yeah, it was a public message. It was not a private message. Yeah, hi Ron. So how are things in Canada or Carnadia or how Walter says it? Carnadia. Yeah, and thanks. I'm painting in the ocean, starting with the ocean. '81. Do you know what that is in Celsius? I'm not sure. But that's pretty nice. 20 something. Yeah, like 7 degrees Celsius here in Iceland today, in Reykjavik. We had very high wind yesterday. The winter is coming for us. Don't know if you notice, I switch hands sometimes when I'm painting. What do you think of that? Depends on the angle. Yeah, 27. Yeah, that's pretty warm. It never gets that warm here in Iceland. Like 25 degrees is almost the maximum we get. Yeah, thank you, Don. It is coming to life now with the ocean. And I'm putting in some whites right by the shoreline to lighten up the shoreline. Then I'm going to do some darker blues on the deeper areas, like in this area. Yeah, regular summer day. Yeah, what I do with my left hand, I write with my left hand, and I normally paint with my left hand, but I throw a ball with my right hand. And so if I need to do like anything physical, like throwing a ball or lifting something, I use my right hand, but I use the left hand for writing and some paintings. So it's really strange, I think. But some activities, like if they're not precision activities, then I can just use my both hands. Now I'm putting in some darker blues for the deeper part of the ocean. Yeah, I always use the mouse with my right hand, and I feel awkward if I try it with my left hand. Yeah, it's coming to shape now with a little bit of depth in the ocean. I'll put some snow caps on for dawn, and I'm done here with the blue. I always try to, like in this bigger area, not to have just a single color, just trying to mix the colors somewhat together, not fully, so I have some dynamic effects in the colors. Yeah, thank you, Ben. I feel like a total noob though in regard of those paintings. Here are some snow tops on the highest mountains coming. That's for you, Don. Come here for skiing. So I think this one is about to be finished. I think it's looking pretty good. So yeah, winter is coming. Yeah, we had some frost in the highlands this weekend, but it's not winter here in Reykjavik. Yeah, definitely come and have a visit. It's so many things you can see, and if you like to have a rental and drive a little bit around the south coastline, you will have a lot of things to see. So I think this one is ready. I'm gonna let this paint and let this paint dry and just start with the next one. So this landscape is a very small area. Yeah, you have to meet up with Gunnar Nelson. Yeah, I will sign it when the paint is dried. but this landscape, this is a model that I created by flying my drone over this area, and created a 3D model in my mapping software with the drone imagery. It's really detailed, and here you can see houses like on some buildings, and you can even see here some cars on the parking lot. You might not see it clearly on the camera though, but there are some small dots here that are cars. And here's a waterfall. It's a really beautiful waterfall called Goðafoss. It's in the northern part of Iceland, and I can show you on my map. So this is the place I was painting in the northwest part of Iceland, but now the area I'm painting is this area here. This is in the north part of Iceland. In this area here, in this town, this farm, Ystafell, this is where I grew up when I was a kid, and this is the place where the waterfall is. Here is Akureyri, that's the biggest town in the countryside of Iceland. So Reykjavik is here, and most of the population lives here. But some towns around the coastline, and Akureyri is the biggest one outside of the capital area. Here's the waterfall I'm going to paint. Yeah, Ben. What I was just thinking, I really should send you a painting. I might as well just send you that one I was just painting. Yeah, I really should just send you one. Yeah, on winter here in Reykjavik, it's normally not that cold. Maybe -5 to 10 most. Is the most maybe here in Reykjavik. Up in the mountains and on the glaciers we get like -25, and I think the lowest ever in a like in the countryside is like 32, minus 32, but like a normal winter day here in Reykjavik is just around 0 degrees. Plus minus 5 degrees maybe is a normal winter day in Reykjavik. Here's one of my cats coming to smell the paint. So it can be cold up in the mountains, but in the Reykjavik area it's not so cold. So now again with this one I'm gonna start with white and black just to get a base cover. I find it easier to blend the colors if I do this initial layer of gray color. But in the coldest months, like in January, February, it can be also quite windy, so it feels really cold. So even maybe you have just minus 5 degrees, but high wind, it feels really cold. So when people are asking if they want to come here to visit, and January, February is the least likely to have good weather. And then people want to come to see the Northern Lights, and that time frame is like from late September, starting of October, up to March, April. Late October is probably the best chance to see the Northern Lights and get good weather also. In January and February it's difficult to get good weather on Northern Lights, even though they're active, so to speak. You're unable to see them. Yeah, thanks for joining in, Ben. Nice to have you. Nice chatting. So this area is like I said, close by, maybe 10 kilometers away from where I grew up when I was a kid. There is still a retail store here in this place that we went to buy groceries and such things. But normally, when I was growing up on the farm, we didn't go to the store every week. It was maybe every month we went to the store and filled up our small Land Rover of stuff to put in the freezer. But then again, we had a milk farm, so we had a truck coming in to get the milk several times a week, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. By that truck we could order goods from the retail store, so we really didn't have to go and drive in the winter time, because the road in this area was not very good, so we could get the goods delivered by the milk truck. So that was good. So this model is a little bit different in that way. This is a really small area, and like you can see in the model, the roads. Normally in the landscapes, the roads are so small in scale that I don't paint them on the model. Yeah, hi, from Austria. Yeah, your name is too difficult for me. If you go to terrain to STL, I'll find it for you. Just a sec. I think this is the easiest way to get terrain data on a global scale. It differs where you are getting on the detail difference a little bit, but it's a good starting point. And this area is mostly just lava field, but there are some vegetation in the lava though. So it's a mix of grass and lava. Yeah, you can select the area and then you get the STL file. And what I do with my landscapes, I print them upside like this, so on the side, so I get a better detail. Yeah, cool. Yeah, you should try it out. It's good fun to get those landscape models. And like the Alps, they have really extreme mountains and yeah, on its side, but it's not thin like a lithophane. It still has quite a good amount of thickness. But I printed on this and with like a 1.5 centimeter brim, so it has got good bed adhesion. But yeah, like a lithophane on its side. Yeah, not so high info. Pretty low, maybe 10% only. I'm gonna look at an aerial imagery of this area just to have a look. Share the screen. And this is a web map with aerial photos. So this is the area, and here's the waterfall that's in this place. Yeah, so the lava field has somewhat green in it, but you can see like in this area it's just the lava and then the river. So I will have somewhat green, and here's the store. And I normally have a satellite photo like this as a reference for where the vegetation is, but I'm not trying to have it like photorealistic, just general relevance. It looks familiar. And if you come to Iceland and travel in this, yeah, thanks Don for dropping in. It's really appreciated. Yeah, if you travel to Iceland in the northern part of Iceland, this is a place that you definitely have a visit because the waterfall is really beautiful. It's just by the main road, so it's really good accessibility to this area. I'm putting in some browns to get some more detail. Yeah, and one thing to note when you're printing the landscape on its side, and like I have a CR10 that I'm using, and the bed moves back and forth. I don't print very fast because the model will shake a little bit, so I try to print slow when I'm printing the model upside on its side. I think I need to lighten up the landscape a little bit. It's a little bit too dark. putting some darker colors on the side of the river. And there are some areas that I saw that had like sand in the sides of the river, so I'm putting a little bit of black in those areas. Maybe I need to put some yellow in here. I don't use yellow very often unless there's like a geothermal activity in the area, and I use pink and yellow to blend that in. But I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow into the green. Gives it a little bit more contrast, the green colors. And I'm just lightly touching the surface. So now it has a little bit more contrast. It's a little bit too flat before. But now I'm gonna paint in the river. I'm using the pencil for that. And this river is a partially glacier river and partially just normal river from the area it goes through, and it goes from the Vatnajökull glacier. That's the biggest glacier in Europe, and that's the origin of the river. And then there's a very big area in the highlands that the water in this river gathers to, and this is a pretty big river here in Iceland. The river is called Skjálfandafljót, so that's a really easy name for you guys. Skjálfandafljót. It's sometimes if the glacier is melting very fast, like in warm weather in the summertime, there's a lot of mud in the water, and then the river turns into a brown goo. But it can be quite clear if like in the winter time, and if there's not too much heat up in the mountains where the glacier is. And there are several waterfalls in this river as it goes through the landscape and down the mountains, and it's a really beautiful, this one, Goðafoss. It's one of the most beautiful waterfalls in Iceland. I might be somewhat biased because I'm born in this area, but nevertheless, if you look for Icelandic waterfalls, you'll probably get an image of this waterfall called Goðafoss. So now I see as I paint in the river, the landscape comes to life, so to speak, to get the contrast. It was a little bit dull before. The river splits off here just before the waterfall. We had some adventures going down the waterfall in a kayak. It's quite amazing to see how they can go down a high waterfall. I think the waterfall is like 10 meters high or something. They just go in their kayaks and dive down. So here's the road goes over a bridge here. There are two bridges. One is the old bridge, and now that is only for walking people. It's very narrow. Here's the main road. Still, this bridge is only one-sided. So if there are cars coming from both directions, one of the guys have to wait until the car passes. So it's a narrow bridge. Yeah, it really comes to life now when I have the river. I'm happy how this is turning out. And now to paint in the roads. Find a smaller brush. This thing is something that I'm not good at. It's drawing like fine detail. I don't have a very steady hand. This part is quite difficult for me. And here in the 3D model, the bridge is somewhat collapsed. It didn't come through in the 3D model. So there's like a small blob in the river, like the bridge has fallen down. So if you're just joining, this is the second print I'm painting on this stream. The first one was an area in the northwest part of Iceland called Strandir. This is an area in the north part of Iceland, in a farm area where I grew up. There's a big river going through this area with a very beautiful waterfall called Goðafoss, and that's the main attraction in this area. This model was created by me by using a drone. I created a 3D model using my mapping software, One of my jobs, or like my secondary job, so to speak, that came out of a hobby, is to create maps. So I create maps of Iceland. I have a very detailed 3D data of Iceland that I can use. Some places like this one, I created the data by flying my drone, taking imagery, and using photo telemetry or some program to create a 3D model of the landscape. And now I'm painting some roads going through the area, and using a very fine pencil to do that, and a brush. It's quite difficult to paint a very narrow road on the landscape. Here's some parking lot, and also here's some parking lot. Here to this water wall there's a road to this area where there's a parking lot also. So this is the final road I'm gonna paint in. And this model is so detailed that here in this parking lot I can see the 3D shape like a bump in the model that are cars in the parking lot. So the detail is really good on the model. I think I'm gonna paint some red in where the houses are, for the rooftop of the houses. It's very common for Icelandic farmhouses to be painted white with red roofs. It's really common. White with red roofs or white with green roofs. That's most common, like farmhouse color. But I actually think this house is yellow, has a yellow roof. Yeah, I'm remembering right. So I'm gonna put a yellow rooftop, just for realism. Red paint is mixing up, so it's like an orange blob. I don't think it's too bad. So I think this model is done now. It's gonna have to dry out a little bit before I assign it. But this is Goðafoss, a mountain, no, sorry, a waterfall in this river called Skjálfandafljót. So that's a really long and nice name for you. This area is in the northern part of Iceland. I'm gonna share my screen here and see where it is if you missed the start. So this is Iceland, and here is Reykjavik, and here's Akureyri, a town in the northern part of Iceland. And this waterfall is in this area here. This is a town, no, sorry, the farm where I grew up in the north part of Iceland. So I'm really familiar with this area in the north here. So that's where this area is. And I hope you like this one. I'm gonna post some pictures of it on Twitter afterwards when I have signed it and the painting has dried off. So I think this is looking pretty nice. The roads are a little bit messy. It's very difficult to get clean lines with a small pencil. At least my hands are shaking too much for a clean line. I think this is reasonable. So this one is done. So now the third model I have is this one. This is a mountain area by the coastline in the west part of Iceland. I'm going to show you on the map where this is. So this one is in this area here in the western part, northwest part. This is this mountain range here. Here's this fjord is called Dýrafjörður, and this one Arnarfjörður. Here's a town called Þingeyri, but the map starts, I'm figuring it out where it starts. Yeah, around on this part. It's cut like here, and having this part of the area. So this I don't have a name for this part of the mountain range, but this is called Hrafnseyrarheiði. That's a really nice Icelandic name also. But this area is not habited. There are some farms in this part, but this is in this area the mountains just go right into the ocean, and it's a really difficult area. There's like a difficult road going through this area, and you really have to drive somewhat on the coast or the rocks in the shoreline. And if there's the high tide, your car you will have to wait until the tide goes, because the road will go into the sea. So it's not very accessible area, but it's good fun to go there. Yeah, so I was just looking at the YouTube stats. We have 8 people watching now, so I see some people coming and going. So this is a little bit bigger model. I have to adjust the camera a little bit. Again, I'm gonna start with white and black to make the base layer. Yeah, it's quite relaxing to paint as well. Just having a good time talking to you guys. I'm not really very talkative person, so I'm trying to find something to talk about, but I'm happy to interact. Like in this area, I've been here maybe 2 times in my lifetime, so I don't have many stories of this area. but I like to, it's really you cut down your first layer brush. This is like a sponge that I'm using to create the first layer. So it comes like that from the store. I find them pretty good, using them to get the grey, white and black paint in to cover everything, and then I start to blend the colors into the grey base. And I didn't find a grey color from this brand on the hobby store where I buy them, so I'm just blending white and black to some amounts together to get a base coating. But I would be happy to use this grey color, just it's easier to blend the remaining color. Yeah, it's acrylic colors. I buy them at a local hobby store, and those are Panduro acrylic. So that are the paints I'm using. I have no idea if they are considered good brand or a bad brand. Just found them at a local hobby store and used that. I haven't asked like a professional painter. Yeah, hi, Trolling for Dollars. Welcome to the stream. This is the third painting I'm doing on this stream. I've done 2 paintings before. I was just finishing this one. This is over a small area. I started with this one. So it's like a 3 models that I have prepared or printed out for the stream. And this area is quite high mountains. There's some are you meaning for spraying after I paint the acrylics or before? Because before, what I did some time ago when I was painting, I used like a spray paint, like a premium paint primer to seal in the colors, but that was like a high gloss paint, and the landscape turned out to be really reflective with that spray, so I stopped using that one. But maybe I could try to find a less reflective spray to seal in the colors. But I don't know if the acrylic paints, how they last, like after 2 years or something, if it will be turning out okay. Yeah, if I would find like a matte finish spray that wouldn't reflect, I could give that a try. Yeah, okay. Sampoon paint. I have to look that up. Do you know if it's glossy? Yeah, they're matte. Yeah, you said matte. Yeah, okay. Yeah. that's probably something I could use. And when I do this coating, or like the base coating, it doesn't really matter how or what the color of the PLA I'm using, but I find it just as good as using gray or white PLA. But I think like this one with a yellow PLA, it didn't give me any trouble. Yeah, the STLs for the print. I create those with my mapping software. What I do as a secondary job is to create maps. You can have a look at my map on this website here. I'm going to paste in. And this like a web map, and I sell those also for offline use. While doing those maps, I have a very high detail terrain data of Iceland. Like for all of Iceland, it's several terabytes in size, the whole data set. What I do in my mapping software is to select the area and export as a STL file. I did a video on my channel going through that whole process, but the sources for this detail it's not it's publicly available data that I have processed into my dataset. So yeah, hi Ron, welcome. Nice to see you. Thanks for all the comments you're making on my videos. I really appreciate all the comments. You're always first in line with the comments on my videos, and that's a thank you for that. Yeah, so the STL I'm using is a set of publicly available data for Iceland, but I have processed the data in such a way I'm using it for my mapping generation, and I'm exporting that data. So the STLs are like proprietary my thing, so to speak. But a link to the, if you Google terrain to STL, you can find a mapping service that allows you to create STLs for the vault. I had a link here, I'm going to paste again. So this is a website that allows you to select an area and download the STL. But those STLs are not as detailed as the dataset I'm using. Yeah, flat area. Yeah, it's this painting. It's like a flat landscape, but as the river goes through, it really came to life when I started to paint in the river. So that saved that model. But it's much easier to do this. Like in this area I'm painting now, it's a big mountain range, so I have a lot of like dynamic terrain, so that helps me doing a good job. But here the coastline is basically the mountain tops. No, the mountain roots just go into the ocean, so there's not much area with vegetation. It's a very tough area to travel to, but it's a really beautiful area. And if you're like going hiking, it's accessible. You don't have to hike for many days up in the mountains, but there's a road by this coastline here, but not on this coastline. So you can. There's a few farms like in this area and this area and this area, but not many people live here. But they have really beautiful mountain sceneries. Mount Scott. Yeah, Iceland is basically a mountain rising from the sea. So we have mountain landscapes. There is hardly a place in Iceland if you have a clear weather that you don't see a mountain. It's mountains everywhere. We don't have very high mountains, like the highest mountain peak is just over 2,000 meters, but we have really coarse shoreline with mountain ridges, and so there's a lot of landscapes that you can have a look at, and a lot of tourists come here to enjoy the nature and landscapes. So now I put in some greens in the shoreline and in the valleys here. Gonna turn that into brown and red for the mountains. Yeah, in Oklahoma is what's are you is there a lot of farmland there, or is it just desert land in Oklahoma? Or I haven't looked at the map. It's quite west in the state, right? Just near the Rocky Mountains. Yeah, I have like a satellite imagery website or aerial photos as a reference. If I'm not familiar with the area, I try to get a reference of the general amount of vegetation and the colors and such. I'm not really trying to create a photorealistic paintings, so I don't mind having some variance, but I have use Google Maps and the Icelandic mapping website also that has aerial photos as a reference. But also very many of the landscapes I've done is an area that I'm really familiar with, because I've traveled basically all around Iceland. So just my perception of the landscape is often the main source of color choice, so to speak. If I know it's a geothermal activity in the area, I paint in those colors, and yeah, artistic license. It's I'm not gonna focus too much on if I find some colors off balance, but I try to have some life in the painting, so you feel the landscape and get some perception of depth. That's the main goal, I think. like when I'm blending the colors, I just go, I just swing it basically. Try to get some colors to work together, and the reds and browns, and putting in some colors to create contrast. And the main thing is to have it not looking too monologue, so to speak. I try to blend the colors at a more random pace than a unified pace. Because the landscape itself is never monocolor. It's always some dynamic in it. Yeah, for farmland and ranch and oil, yeah. And Oklahoma is a place where you have the red rock, like strands up in the air with a big rock on top. That's in Oklahoma, right? Where the wind has blown away the rock face and leaves like a pillar of rock. Yeah, that's Colorado. Okay. Okay, I'm mixing those two. I have been in the States just a few times. Went to New York, and then I went to New Orleans, and then to Baltimore. Flew into Baltimore and went to Earth. So that's three places I've been in the States. No, I haven't printed that one. That could be a good project though. Garden of the Gods. Yeah, okay. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, the Grand Canyon could be a good amount of detail in that area to do a landscape print. I've done Hawaii. Did a model for Chris, practical printing. He actually came to visit Iceland, and he printed out the model, but I prepared the model for print, the STL, and sent him, and he printed it on his printer, and then he brought it over to Iceland, and I painted it and gave it back to him. So it was and we did like a collaboration video where we showed off what we have done. now I think I'm gonna paint in the shoreline. Yeah, I've seen some amazing pictures of the Grand Canyon. If I would go to the States for landscape, I would definitely go to Grand Canyon and see the Hoover Dam, and I think that area would be my first go-to area. And Yosemite, I think it's called. I have difficulty saying that word. Yeah, normally I see just people from the top side, but is there good access to the bottom side also? Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, now I'm tracing the shoreline with a light blue. Yeah, okay, so it's like a walking trail that you have to go, or can you go by a truck or something? Yeah, okay, a mule. Okay. And it's a Colorado River that goes down the Grand Canyon, right? That ends the same that is in the Hoover Dam. Isn't that the same river? Yeah, cool. I know every place basically in Iceland. I haven't done much research on the states map-wise. Know the basics, I think. It's so big of a country, there's endless places to visit, I would guess, if you're into landscapes. Yeah, I guess for most people, Iceland was not very known until we had the volcano eruption at Eyjafjallajökull. That's a famous volcano eruption. It is 7 years ago or something like that, or 10 years ago. So that really put Iceland on the map, so to speak, for a lot of people, because it interrupted flights in a grand scale. It was very difficult time for airlines. And it was somewhat the ash from the volcano went all over Europe, but you could fly from Iceland to the States, but not to Europe. So flights from the States over to Europe was interrupted. Yeah, we are just watching Mother Nature. It's we normally have a volcano eruption every 3 to 5 years on a pretty regular basis here in Iceland. The Eyjafjallajökull volcano was in the middle of a mountain that has a glacier on top. It caused some flooding in the area, and because of the ice melting going into the volcano, they created this ash that was really bad for airlines. That made it famous, but we had much bigger volcano eruptions since then that didn't have that combination of ice and volcano and the ash problem. So that normally doesn't make into the headlines. It's just a normal Icelandic volcano happening, and we don't mind it so much. It's normally not that disruptive, but we have some volcanoes that are active in the glaciers, and we have some areas that are regularly flooded. So it's a common thing for us to have a volcano happening. Yeah, the sunset with the ash cloud was crazy strange. Like in the UK, they had like a glowing red sunset because of the ash in the air. I'm part of the Icelandic search and rescue teams. I was spending a lot of time in the eruption area with the Eyjafjallajökull area to close off roads and make sure the farmers were okay and such. We had to stay in the area just very close to the root of the ash, and going out from the cars just to take a piss was really difficult. We had to have like masks and all that, but you couldn't see anything from time to time. It was just crazy. We were stopping people, like farmers that had farm animals in the area, and we were like, they had to go to the farm to give the animals something to eat and drink, and you had to account for everybody traveling in and out of the area and make sure they really had a reason to go. And there was a lot of like press and just curious people wanting to get closer to the volcano to take photos or something, but we could not allow them to get in danger. So it was quite annoying time being in the ash cloud in the middle of it, and having to stop people from basically doing more damage to themselves than they had sense for. it's always surprising when we have some nature events like volcanoes or floods or something. It's always amazing how people still want to put their lives at risk by going into a danger area, even though they have no valid reason to go. They just want to go to see or see what's going on. I've been in the search and rescue for a very long time, getting those people out when they get into trouble, and because they didn't listen or didn't follow instructions, it's quite annoying sometimes to get those people. But yeah, good side of pollution. Yeah, we have some pollution maybe some days here in Reykjavik just because of traffic, and if it's a still winter day, it can be some pollution because of traffic. But normally it's quite windy, so like the dust from the roads and the cars, the pollution from the cars, normally it's just blown away pretty quick. So we don't have really high levels of pollution in a normal sense of it. But it can happen on like a still winter days, like I said. Yeah, exactly, Ron. It's some people they travel up in the glacier areas with the trucks, and they don't have a good travel plan and not very good equipment, and get into trouble. And then we go in the search and rescue and find them and spend a lot of hours or dangerous activities to find them. So it's always difficult to handle that situation. But that taking part in the search and rescue is it's a great thing, though. It's really rewarding to, at the end of the day, being part of a group that helped save lives. So that's amazing to take part in. And I also get a chance to basically go everywhere, all over Iceland, in those training missions and rescue missions. So I've been all over Iceland, up in the mountains and glaciers, and much more than I would have done just on my own as a guy with a interest of going up in the mountains. Yeah, we don't have any of those here in Iceland, but there is one, like a nuclear recycling in the north part of Scotland, and if that goes, like in some earthquake or something happens, the pollution, the nuclear radiation will definitely go into the ocean, and will pretty soon go into the areas where Icelanders fish their fish. Fish is like the main export for Iceland, so it would be really bad if something would happen in Scotland. So we were pretty concerned when they built that recycling plant in the UK. But all our energy here in Iceland is either geothermal energy or hydroelectric. So we don't have any coal or oil power plants. or nuclear for that matter. So we have like all of the energy is renewable and clean, and we have hot water coming up from the ground all around Iceland pretty much. So we have our houses warmed up by just geothermal water coming up. So now this coastline is getting into shape, and I have to put some whites on the mountain tops. Do that last. Put some snow in the mountains. This painting is almost done, so. Yeah, it's it's too bad they don't consider the global warming like a real thing. the government. Yeah, we are starting to. It's like a experimental, still having a wind farm. It's like 2 or 3 turbines that are up. It's like a experimental project, but they have found out they could have a much bigger farm at that location. So I think we are starting to see wind farms coming up here in Iceland as well. Yeah, okay. I would think areas with like over there would have more solar. When I was flying. I flew to Newark Airport, just by New York, when I went to New Orleans, and I noticed a lot of solar panels just on big buildings, on top of big buildings. So I would think solar panels would be more adaptive in areas like that. A little bit too much snow. But I think this one is done as well. So this is the third painting I'm doing on this stream. This was the second one. And this was the first one. So it's been a good stream. Had some good talks with you guys. So that's awesome. So those 3 landscapes are the results. So this one is quite big. So what do you think, guys? This one is probably has the most dynamic colors in it. Yeah, thank you, Ron. I really like this one. This one really came to life when I put in the river. It was it's a totally flat area beside the river going through. But this one was also quite good. It was good fun. So those are the landscape I had printed out to be painted on this stream. It's been, don't know how, excuse me. Yeah, it's been almost 2 hours a stream. So it's been a good stream. I hope you had a good time watching my paint. It's I find it quite relaxing to do those paintings, and I was deciding on if I should do a normal time-lapse video of those landscapes or a live stream, and I think I enjoy the live stream aspect a little bit more. So having some people watch the live stream, it's a good fun. Yeah, you're welcome. It's nice to give you some hints on how to print a landscape. So if you do a print, you can tweet my name and I'll have a look. It's always nice to see there are not so many people that are printing landscapes. No, Kat 3D or Katja from Liechtenstein, she's doing landscapes as well, but she hasn't painted them, but she enjoys printing them out. And I started to paint them some while ago, and I maybe done like 25 to 30 landscapes so far. I'm enjoying it more and more, so to speak. It's good fun. It's been a really nice Sunday afternoon here for me. It's 10 o'clock in the afternoon for me here. Yeah, please, if you tweeted out a picture of it, I will be interesting to see how it comes out for you. Yeah, but I think for now this will be it for this stream. Yeah, here, this camera. So many cameras around. I have a stream deck to select. But I thank you all for watching, and I really enjoyed our talk, and it was good fun. So I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. I'll probably do some more prints, and maybe after a few weeks I'll do another stream like this. And I print it out. It takes some time to print out a bunch. So see you guys.